So in my last video, I talked about the most important changes I want to see in Blade Soul Neo, and one of the most important ones to me personally was just seeing that the arena was well taken care of, and they actually monitor it and ban cheaters and make sure that it's balanced. But what came to my attention is some of my subscribers mentioned that they actually not gonna have the arena in Blade Soul Neo. Now this is something that I was just totally shocked by. I didn't even think it would be a possibility because the arena is such a core part of Blade Soul, and it's really something that made Blade Soul popular in the West because people would see the intense 1v1 matches in Korea with the amazing action combat that Blade Soul has. And it really gave free marketing to the game. Like it was a really big portion of why people played it when it first came out. Because you could just level to 45 and then just 1v1 against anyone, and there's no need for like really good gear or anything because the gear was balanced. So this is something that them not having the arena in Blade Soul, I feel like will hurt the success of Blade Soul Neo because you're going to be removing a way that people can do PvP in a balanced setting. Because I heard they're going to have battlegrounds in Neo, and they're going to have open world PvP, of course, with the faction gear like in Misty Woods. But the problem is with those two modes, they're gear dependent. So if you have much better gear or you grind more than someone else or spend more money than someone else, you can basically stomp them in a 1v1 match. And really anyone who knows even the basics of how to play their class in PvP, if they have better gear than the other person, even if they're a better player, they're most likely going to lose because you're just going to one-shot them or do 70% of their health in one attack because your gear is so much better. And so I feel like this is just a bad mistake of not having the arena in Neo because again you're making it so that like people can't just play arena and have fun. They have to grind their gear, worry about, oh, this guy's gonna have way better gear than me and just completely destroy me, not based on how good I am as a PvPer. Now I've seen various reasons why they don't have the arena in Neo, but the main one I see a lot of people mention over and over is that they have like certain skill systems, like new ones in Blade and Soul Neo compared to Blade and Soul Live, which makes it harder for them to balance the arena. So that's why they don't have it until they can find a way to balance classes better for the 1v1. But in my opinion, if you're going to have the battlegrounds, which is gear dependent and open world PvP, that's already going to always be unbalanced because it's dependent on your gear. So it really makes no sense to have like arena removed, but have these other modes that are gear dependent. So I don't really feel like that's a great excuse. I feel like they just didn't want to monitor PvP arena and like make sure there's no cheaters or bots or anything. But that's a whole different story. Either way, I do feel like this will hurt the success of Blade Soul Neo because it's already coming back from a lot of people don't really like NCSoft and they don't trust them to make a successful MMORPG or at least manage it well. So you already have a lot of people kind of hesitant to hop back into the game, and then you're removing a really key mode of the game that exists when it first came out in 2016 in the West. So I feel like this will definitely hurt Blade Soul Neo. It's not going to kill it or anything, and I'm going to still have fun because I never really was a huge PvP arena player, but I can appreciate it and see that not having it is actually going to be bad for the game. Now, they actually made an announcement about not having the arena in their official Discord. If you guys don't know, Blade Soul a while ago got rid of their forums. They only really announce things like in the Discord, and that's where like they discuss stuff. So if you want to have like a topic you want to bring up, I'd recommend going onto their Discord because that's where they all are at. There's no like forum page anymore like most MMOs have. Main thing they talked about was arena and battleground update for Live and Neo. So they talked about the Neo battlegrounds, that they're going to be trying to make it better matchmaking, better time limits, just make it more optimized, and then they're going to have the 6v6 battlegrounds, which I talked about a little bit earlier. And then they mentioned the Neo Arena. So they say at launch, Arena will not be available, just like the Korean version. We understand this is disappointing for many players who love competitive 1v1 and 3v3 matches. We hear you and will continue to advocate for its inclusion in future updates. Your support and feedback on this matter are important, and we'll be sure to keep the conversation going. And you see some of the reactions. A lot of people weren't really happy, like the vomit, the clown emoji, the poop emoji. A lot of people weren't really happy about them not having the arena. I do believe them when these devs on here say that they are trying to advocate for arena. Like, I don't think they're just like they listen to the feedback and then they just throw it in the trash and don't care. I do think they care, but the problem is that the Korean devs don't really care as much as we do. And really, I feel like our feedback is always going to be way less than what the Korean players would want to say. But the problem is that everything has to go through Korea, and kind of like other Korean MMORPGs that kind of originate over there, and then we get content fed through them onto our servers over time. Like, we're behind Korea already again, even though this is a new launch. That's how it was, of course, when Blade Soul came out in the West. It came out in 2016, and Korea came out in 2012. So we were already 4 years behind. So same thing with like Black Desert. Like, most of these games, you'll see a pattern that if the Korean players don't want the changes, you don't really see the Korean devs making the changes for the West because everything goes through them. So we can kind of push these devs on the Western side and make these changes, but it's really not going to happen unless the Korean players really want it to be pushed and make it happen for them. And then we'll get that applied to our region. That's the only downside with the Korean MMORPGs compared to ones that are like in the West, like, you know, World of Warcraft. But overall, that's really the news. Again, it's not a game changer for me. I'm not gonna not play Neo. I had a lot of fun. Really, I'm just a dungeon raid guy. That's what I enjoy. That's what I've always played. But I can appreciate how much the arena meant for many players. Like, I don't know how many of you guys were around in 2016 when this came out in the West, but I remember all the Twitch streamers playing the arena, streaming it for hours and hours. It brought so much popularity to Blade & Soul, so much exposure to the game, and brought a lot of new players to check it out. And not having that this time, I feel like, is going to be a hindrance to the game. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, I have more fun in dungeons and raids, so it doesn't affect me too terribly. But I can definitely see issues with them not having the arena. So hopefully, eventually they can add it to the game. I just feel like it's just a bad idea not to have this, because they even mentioned when Blade & Soul Neo, they had the radio silence for like a year. They mentioned that, oh, it's taking so long because we want to make it perfect for you guys. We want to make sure that everything's done right. But you guys don't add the arena. Like, why didn't you just push it back farther and make sure the arena comes out with it for the West? Just don't feel like it's a really great idea. But again, I think the Korean devs just don't want it in the game right now. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, appreciate you guys watching the video. Let me know, is the arena a big deal? Are you going to tell me it doesn't matter? Who cares? Let me know. Want to discuss with you guys, and I'll see you guys next one real soon.